For many years now, Russ and Craig have had many wide-ranging conversations with folks from all over the gaming world. This is one of those conversations.
D6G, the Lost Chapter.
Hey, so, we're passing, unfortunately, and it is a sad day here in Dunkin' Donuts.
No, it can never come too soon for me.
Pumpkin is coming to an end. The pumpkin season.
Yes, indeed.
You can still find it occasionally. You see it once in a while.
The blight that is pumpkin flavoring is passing from this world.
And now...
Because winter is coming.
Winter is coming, and the inklings of the holiday flavors are starting to sneak in.
Indeed.
They're sneaking in. What is your favorite holiday-flavored coffee confection, Craig?
I don't really like any holiday flavor. I'm a dull kind of guy. I mean, mocha. Mocha's good.
Mocha's not holiday?
Give me an example. What's like?
Wait.
I know it's not holiday.
Hey, Craig,
that's my point.
Wait, is that Andrew?
Mint chocolate. Hello.
Andrew, there you go. Hey, there, Andrew.
Hacksaw mint chocolate from the backfield.
That was you guys.
Mint chocolate, Andrew. That's an excellent choice. So, what is your favorite sort of seasonal caffeinated beverage, Andrew, that you get at Dunkin'?
Peppermint mocha turns me on. I'm good with that
choice.
one.
Yeah, that's an
Is there going to be a like an official flavored coffee of Captain Con this year? Is that like a
awesome.
little hint thing or no?
I think it's like bourbon.
Maybe there should be bourbon flavored coffee. I have actually had Captain Con bourbon flavored coffee, and I think it's swell.
It is delicious, and it does beat, in fact, pumpkin flavored coffee. I will say that.
It does indeed.
So, Andrew, have you guys noticed this? And Andrew, you were mentioning this the other day. I think, have you noticed that there's more and more people doing board game streaming? So I don't mean like playing board games online together. I mean like just sitting there and watching a YouTube video of other people playing a board game. You guys notice this?
Oh, yeah, totally.
And it's becoming kind of a big thing. And it's miniature games, it's board games. I mean, do you guys watch those? Do you guys go out and proactively watch those?
Oh, yeah. I check out all the weird stuff on Twitch, and sometimes I go to other venues because, people are going to the other ones that are less popular. But, there is nothing quite like checking out a bunch of strangers who already have an existing, friendship of some sort, kind of removing that. Is it the fourth wall or the third wall? I don't remember.
I feel like it's the
fourth wall.
Yeah, fourth wall. So, it's imagine being at somebody's house playing board games, but you don't have to engage. You can just sit there and observe. And, I mean, that is something that a lot of us gamers who are kind of introverted sometimes would love to do. And now you can do it in your own home, which is awesome.
It is pretty awesome.
Yeah. And
I think this started, I know it started. It started with video games, right? So it was going on for a while with video games. I remember when it first started, and I was looking at some numbers here when I was thinking about this, or you guys were talking to me about this a little bit, with this idea of what is really the impact of this stuff. And it's there's some crazy numbers right now. So we all know about Twitch and YouTube and the fact that people stream their video games and now their board games. But what I think it's funny is Twitch sees 10 million daily active folks watching game streams. Like that is that is a crazy number. Now that's mostly video games. That's definitely the bigger market. But right. I used to think like, who would watch if I have an hour to kill, right, or two or whatever? Do I want to watch someone playing a game or do I want to play a game? And with video games, particularly, even if you're by yourself, you can play by yourself. But I've noticed, I've never really gotten into, but I've noticed my kids like to watch video games. Like they play Minecraft and they also watch Minecraft. They'll play RPGs and then they'll watch the RPGs be played. And now they are starting to do the board game thing. What do you think the appeal? I mean, you mentioned a little bit, Andrew. Like, does it make you feel like you're engaged in the game even though you're not able to play at the moment?
I mean, as a parent of two children, I don't have many friends unless I'm going to birthday parties.
Right.
So, I mean, you really have to carve out a lot of time in your schedule to, number one, make friends. Number two, go see your friends. And number three, convince them that they should play this board game that they've never played before, which probably has a 40-page rule book.
Yeah.
That's how I roll anyway. So if you can get that experience and you get excited about it after watching other folks play it, then maybe you'll make that commitment to connect with enough people to actually do it yourself. So I think it's kind of like a proving ground for board games.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, is it more? Yeah, I think it's more about learning, right, rather than the experiential stepping in. Do you think, or is it?
Though, because you've told me.
Well, Reese watches Reese watches it for hours, but I think that at least has that aspect of almost like a movie, whereas watching people play a board game to me is more of a learning experience. So, but I don't know. That's what I'm asking. Like, is it like experiential? Like, are you getting that kind of that? Yeah.
I feel like it's both, but I remember you were very, like, when the new 40K 8th edition came out, you started regularly watching the 40K games. Now, I'm guessing after the first one, and then after you played a few times, maybe the first or second one was learning, like, how do units interact? I haven't seen the rules for Khorne Berserkers But I'm sure after the first or second one, you were watching it. Why were you watching it? Was it just to learn every time, or did you start getting interested in how they played and their styles and everything?
Damn it, Ross! Damn it! You turn my own table on me. Yeah, actually, there you go. You answered my question with me as the example, and I still watch those games occasionally when I have time. And it is experiential. You're absolutely right. It's like watching people play the game. Like, I mean, on a Tuesday, half the time, I'm always been a voyeuristic kind of gamer. I like watching people play almost as much as I like playing. So yeah, you're very. But again, I don't watch board games being played. So am I missing out? That's the next question. Or maybe there's just. Yeah?
I don't know that there's a delta, right? So like and Andrew, I'd be curious about this. Like, I guess as a miniature gamer, I'd probably be I play both obviously a lot, but I would probably watch. I would think a miniature gaming would be interesting to watch, especially if it was a particularly cool table or well painted models, because it's always cool to stare at those for a little while, or maybe an unusual army build, right, to see what that happens. But I would imagine if I'm a super passionate board game fan about a particular board game, and I'm really into the strategic options and what happens, or perhaps it's a board game that's pretty funny to watch, like a Battlestar or Games of Traders, and like you kind of know, it's almost like watching Texas Hold'em, and you know what the people are holding for cards. You're actually watching their betting style. Like if you knew who the Cylons were in a Battlestar game you're watching, would that be interesting? Like, is it some of that too? Like, Andrew, what do you think?
Oh, definitely. I mean, you're inspiring me right now to start a Twitch channel called Traders Gaming, where you only play board games that have a trader. And if the audience knows, see, that's the difference with a streaming service is if you're in a room and people are watching and they know, there's going to be physical tells, there's going to be laughter, there's going to be whispering, etc. But if you can be in a vacuum and in talking in chat with people who also know who the trader is and you're laughing, or you could close the chat and you could just watch and you could be guessing. I mean, there's multiple ways that you could present it to be an entertaining experience. So there could be that element of it as a presentation of a form of entertainment, just from those social games. So that's one element. We've already talked about the learning element. And then, there's also like a demo element. Like I was talking about Asmodee, basically started a huge Twitch initiative because I think they've bought every game everywhere now. Don't they own everything?
They kind of own the gaming world, pretty much, the board gaming world. Yeah.
So they're going to be doing some stuff. And, for games like the old Descent Enterprise, where you've got a very detailed system that could be a campaign that gets run over a long series of broadcasts. So I think the options are getting broader every day. And, as we get into the VR world, we'll start to see VR streaming where you could probably walk around the table and look at stuff in detail. Yeah, which is another element
that super cool. Yeah, AR and DR. Well, and one thing too, you mentioned, people like Asmodee or other gaming manufacturers using it to promote and discovery, right? And I'm looking at another stat here from MediaKicks, by the way, .com, which is sort of got an article on this whole concept. It's more about streaming video games, but I thought this was interesting. Every week, 90% of avid gamers, they're saying, use YouTube to discover new games and tips for watching video games. So clearly, they are going on to see tips, but they're also getting game discovery. They're finding new games and seeing new things. So the idea of an Asmodee channel or a channel like our friends at the Dice Tower, the Dice Tower has video podcast. They've had them for a long time now, or videocast, but what's interesting now is they've got a bunch of different formats, and one of their formats is, watch the crew of the Dice Tower play board games, right? That's the thing, and they pick different games. And they don't just, they still have the reviews, but they actually have, watch Sam and Z and Tom play a board game, right? And it's, and I think that's really interesting because now, especially if you have, some kind of a fan base, and you've always kind of wanted to see Tom play a game, what he's like actually when he's playing a trader mechanic game, or what he's actually like when he's playing a competitive game or whatever, you can literally see how Tom plays a game right there on the show. And by the way, you're also seeing maybe a new game and getting how it works. And I kind of feel like while there are great videocasts or podcasts that describe the mechanics of a game, it almost might be more fun to learn a game by watching it be played. I kind of feel like that might be more engaging. I don't know what you guys think of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm all about it. I mean, there's also a throwback to a few years ago. We got to remember Tabletop, which is the Will Wheaton and Felicia Day show that really kind of started this, and now it's just kind of proliferating. So I think it's definitely out there, and I mean, I do it every day. I go on to, I look through the channels on Twitch more than I look through the channels on TV, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, here's something, too, and I hadn't thought about this until you mentioned it, Andrew. We were talking off the air a little bit. You'd mentioned, the RPGs. And I know one of the couple that are really, really popular. So, I actually talked to Craig about this. So when I go to PAX, I go to PAX East religiously. I'm getting ready to go to PAX Unplugged in a few weeks here. Really excited about that down in Philadelphia. And my daughters and I, when we got back into Dungeons and Dragons, the crew at Penny Arcade launched this thing called Acquisitions Incorporated. And it really started way, way back when 4th edition launched. Not 5th, but 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons launched. Wizards was just experimenting with podcasting, and they paid the guys from Penny Arcade to come on. And one of the official dungeon masters from Wizards ran a game, and it was an audio only, and they recorded the guys from Penny Arcade playing a game with them. And this is where some of the characters that are very well known, like Jim Dark Magic of the New Hampshire Dark Magics, were created, and it was kind of a joke. Like, he didn't seriously think about his naming or anything. They just played it, and they started to do it once in a while, and it was like a 5 or 6 episode podcast. Later, like Patrick Rothfuss joined them, and other famous people joined them, and eventually this became a recurring video and audio podcast called. They incorporated their venturing party, and it became called Acquisitions Incorporated, and that was the name of their party, and it became the name of the show. Now, not only do they do that regularly now, and you can listen to it, my daughters and I listen to it, it is hilarious. So it's kind of both things. It's almost like a serial radio drama, but it's not like pre-scripted or anything. They're just playing Dungeons and Dragons, and the people they happen to have are extremely witty and funny. And but what's interesting is that was so successful that they spun off the B team and the C team, which are just different people in the same universe. They all work for the Acquisitions Incorporated company, but they're all different squads in Acquisitions Inc., and they're all different side quests, and once in a while there's cameos from the original characters and stuff. But basically, they've got 3 of these sort of leapfrogging story arcs coming backwards and forwards because now everybody can record all the time, and it's pretty brilliant. And I've actually, just to take this to the extent, not only do I listen to that regularly and watch it sometimes on YouTube, but when I go to PAX, they actually have a live recording of it there, and I actually go and sit down and watch it like it's theater. Like, I'm in the audience, I'm super psyched, and there's just a bunch of guys literally sitting at a game table on the stage, and the entire audience, we're laughing and they're watching, and they've got gags now. Like, one of the things is green fire, like it's just a thing they say, or green flame, and there's now giant foam hands that are green flame, like, and we all hold them up like it's like a freaking sporting event. And I'm realizing that's just what we're talking about here. That's just like gaming as entertainment. Which I know sounds kind of normal, but we're not talking about you playing the game as entertainment. It's actually watching gaming, and I wouldn't even define it as an e-sport because nobody's winning in Dungeons and Dragons, right? You're just watching the actual story unfold. And I hadn't really thought about that until you mentioned it earlier, but that really is gaming theater almost, right?
Mm. Talk to Craig about the theater elements of it, but it is
theater. I'm going to say. Oh, absolutely.
It's like a spontaneous performance under a guise of some informal rule set that's going to drive the action, I guess.
Right. It's very much like improvisational.
It's improv performance art. Yeah. It really is, right? And if you've got the right crew playing your game, it's actually really pretty interesting. And
it can be a huge driver.
And I would argue that even a board game, if you had really funny people, right, or a crew recording it, would be this, or even a miniature game, it'd be sort of the same thing. If you got the right people in front of the camera, it would be entertaining. In addition to the game itself being entertaining.
You've got a table full of Joels.
Right. And to back to your point, Andrew, I think Tabletop tried to do that, right? It was pretty witty actors and other folks playing a game together, and so part of the intrigue was, oh look, we get to watch Felicia Day play a board game with somebody. It's kind of interesting like that.
Yeah, I guess it would be less organic with those type of groups.
Yeah.
I think if we put the groups that we know, if we could have a group of friends that we know from everyday life that we think would be willing to do it, and you put them in front of a camera and put them on Twitch, and you get a few people looking at it, and it just grows and grows if you've got the right group. So I think it's there, and it'll continue to grow because the diversity of entertainment is the blessing of this day and age, that you can be able to watch all this stuff happen even when you are a 9-to-5er like most of us are. So it's great.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. All right. So before we head out, because I got to go find some bourbon coffee here.
It's got some. I thought you were looking for like the season's last.
No,
pumpkin.
Andrew's got me on bourbon coffee now, which sadly
that's
you
true.
cannot
That's
get
easier to find. That is easier to find outside of Dunkin' Donuts.
I have to go to a bar, but I will say this. But let me ask you guys this. So what is
to Captain Con?
Yeah. Ooh. See, and Andrew's going to buy for us, Craig. That's what I heard. So
first round's on me. That's right.
That was a rumor.
So let me ask you this: What is your favorite show right now? What is your favorite streaming show you guys each watch? So Craig.
I haven't really. I would say the Twitch streaming for Warhammer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And does your son watch one still? What does he watch? Minecraft?
Well, it's weird. He doesn't watch as much Minecraft anymore, and he's kind of outgrown the kind of the people who are making millions focusing on young kids that play. So it's all like, ho, hey, ho, ho, and cartoony voices.
Right.
He's now into slightly older people that we actually have to watch because they kind of sort of inject their own personal politics and views. And so it's not just Minecraft, and so you've got your son asking, "Hey, Daddy, what's this mean?" And you're like, "What is that?" So we're a little more So we're trying to keep him more focused on. There's what the heck's his name? Stampy Longnose. He's a favorite. Squid. Ballistic Squid. He's got my favorite gamer tag name. But and the thing about them is they've now branched out. Very few of them are doing just Minecraft now also. So. He's seeing all kinds of weird and wacky games that, again, we have to kind of like. There's one game where it's just basically like everybody you play it streaming and everybody try to stab each other with a knife and that's so there's some weird ones out there. But Splatoon is I think the new big one that he likes to watch. But so he's still very much into watching people stream the video games. Yeah. And what about you guys?
What about you, Andrew? What do you watch, and do your kids watch any?
My kids are mostly on the YouTube now because I can monitor the content a little bit.
Yep.
I'm afraid to let them watch Twitch because you never know what's going to pop out live. But for me, I mean, I browse every day. I mean, sometimes I'll watch the IRL channel, which is literally just people doing everyday activities. So you'll see someone in Japan like braiding their friend's hair, and you have no idea what they're saying, but chat is going bananas because apparently this is the best hair braider in Japan, and this is going to be epic. And I just, from a voyeurism perspective, that's something that you would never have any insight to if it wasn't for this platform. It's just crazy.
Very true.
From a more mainstream perspective, I'll watch Total Biscuit, his talk show. I forget what the name of it is, but it's just like a general discussion of gaming of all sorts. And then whatever game du jour I'll watch based on the personalities that stream it. Like for Gwent, I watch this guy named True Dawn, who's like a really great guy. And, the game is the game, but it's really just watching his emotional swings during the podcast or during the broadcast, because he's just a great guy, and he's so invested in the game, and then he gets a bad beat, and he's like, oh, and you can just see it in his face. But then he wins the next one, and you're like, yeah, and you're just cheering for the guy. So it's just so.
There's some buy-in right there.
Yeah,
exactly. It's just great. And then the fact that a la Patreon, Twitch does support the people that are performing, and it's all working out, man. It's just a service that is got unlimited potential, in my opinion.
That's awesome. Yeah, my favorite is Acquisitions Inc. I listen to all those podcasts, and I do watch them. I think they're fantastic. And my daughters, they're kind of like they watch random stuff for the games they're interested in. So if they're playing, like there was one game where they really got into the story, but they felt the gameplay was kind of boring. But they wanted to see the end of the story, so they just went and watched. They jumped on and watched people play it to see the end of the story. And there's another one, I forget the name of it, Andrew, but it's kind of like Mystery Science Theater 3000 for video games, which is pretty hilarious. But anyway, I think it's really interesting. I think it's a fascinating idea, and I think you're right, Andrew. I love that we live in this world. I mean, you do have to monitor the content, right? You don't know what's going to come across, obviously, but I just love that we live in this world where people can always create creative ideas and get it out there real easily. And it's I don't think, if you'd asked me when I started playing video games in the 80s and early 90s, or if when I played Dungeons and Dragons in 1985 and people were talking calling it Satan's work, right? That one day there would be whole channels dedicated to it. It's kind of freaky when you think about it. But if you want to start that channel, Andrew, for Trader Mechanic Games, where we show who the trader cards are up on the corner there, I will play that.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it was like the poker games, right? It's like
exactly, the poker
Texas
tournaments.
Hold'em. Those are interesting because you're
micro celebrity trader games.
Yeah, you're seeing how they bluff. But only you.
Maybe in the future at Captain Con we can live stream that from Captain Con as a D6G event. We'll do it.
What if it was werewolf? What if you had werewolf, known card werewolf? See, that would be good too. Good werewolf players. All right, we'll have to think this through, Andrew. We got to think this through.
Yeah, you guys might be opening up a whole new world right here.
We've just created a whole new channel, Andrew. We better execute on this before someone steals our idea. Quick, like a bomb.
All right.
That's right.
I'm on it.
You don't want to lose out all that money like my dad did on the spork.
Right. You don't lose out on the spork or the Bitcoin. You could have bought.
Oh, he still claims he invented the spork.
You could have bought a Bitcoin for $1.
That's right. Bought a Bitcoin. Yep.
Worth $1 billion. All right.
Yep.
Well, gentlemen, it's been great chatting with you. I got to go get a bourbon coffee. And then, Andrew, we'll see you on the main show here in about a week.
Sounds good, man. Take it easy.
Bye.
Thanks for purchasing a D6G Lost Chapter. Supporting the show helps it grow.